Now, even before arriving to Cuenca, my opinion about this city is already biased. So next to the church, there's a secret path, and I'm hungry, so let's go find some food.
After a quick adventure to one of the most dangerous cities in Ecuador,
Everyone says this place is extremely dangerous because the narco-traficante violence.
it was time to venture just a few hours east to arguably the safest city in Ecuador.
All right, welcome to another day. I took a bus from Guayaquil to Cuenca. Took about 5 hours with a little bit of traffic. Now I marked off a bunch of points on the map here in Cuenca to visit on the Google Maps. All you have to do is type in things to see. And the first order of business is going to go check out the Mercado Nueve de Octubre. Now, I personally really like these kind of markets because everything you get here is fresh. You can find these markets in Mexico, in Costa Rica, here obviously in Ecuador. You wouldn't find them in Colombia. So it's a very Latin American thing where the food is produced right in front of you. It's very inexpensive. You're probably looking at maybe $1 to $2. Meat as well, veggies. And yeah, everything is fresh. Now, even before arriving to Cuenca, my opinion about this city is already biased, simply because the Ecuadorians say this is pretty much the best city to live in all of Ecuador. This is due to multiple factors, including safety, including cleanliness, including the fact that it's not a massive city, so it's not overwhelmingly crowded all the time. And for whatever reason, Cuenca managed to develop itself into a very modern-ish city. Now, Quito and Guayaquil have a reputation for being dangerous simply because of the corruption of the politicians, the corruption of the police, as well as the corruption of the narco-traficantes, the narco-traffickers. But Cuenca, I guess, hasn't established that kind of reputation. It feels like a small city or just like a big town.
In the heart of Cuenca, there's a relaxing spot named Parque Calderón, named after the hero Abdón Calderón, who fought for Ecuador's independence when he was just 18. In 1822, he led a charge against the Spanish Empire, resulting in victory, although he would die from his wounds. When you visit, you can hang out among gardens and fountains, take selfies with Calderón's statue, and check out the gigantic Cathedral of Cuenca, or the Old Cathedral of Cuenca.
This is one of the oldest churches in all of Cuenca.
The Sagrario de Cuenca, also known as the Old Cathedral of Cuenca, was initially constructed on the site of an ancient Inca temple and completed in the year 1573. However, the construction that stands today is not the original. It underwent significant reconstruction following a massive earthquake in 1698.
This church now acts as an art exhibit as well, so displaying religious art as well as more contemporary stuff.
Initially, this cathedral was intended to be the city's main cathedral. However, due to construction taking too long, this designation was ultimately given to the Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception, the much grander cathedral of the two.
So you definitely have to visit the 16th century Cuenca church, because here, if you're an English speaker, there's translations for everything. There's information here in English of the founding of the church, of the history of the church, of the different rooms. So I highly recommend you do check out this church because, once again, there is information in English. All right, so now let's head into the Church of the Immaculate Conception. So next to the church, there's a secret path and it goes up to the terrace. So let's go ahead and go outside. All right, welcome to the terrace of the Church of the Immaculate Conception here in Cuenca. And Cuenca was founded in the 1550s by the Cañari population, the Cañari indigenous groups that were here. Originally, it was called the Guapon de Lech. That was the name of the city originally, which translates to the land as big as heaven. And eventually, it was actually conquered by the Inca Empire. So the Inca Empire, despite being overthrown by the Spanish, wasn't wasn't so nice to its local populations and the local people in the areas of the Western South America. So they were also conquistadors. They were also conquerors. And when the Incas captured Guapondelec, they renamed it to Tomebamba. And eventually the Spanish came in, they conquered it once more, and they renamed it to the city of Santa Ana of the Four Rivers of Cuenca. So this place had close to four names over its history, and ultimately there were many conquests here, many changes of culture, architecture, and ultimately now we are left with the city of Cuenca, which is a UNESCO heritage site because there's so many historical monuments here in the city of Cuenca. Now, a little fun note, one of the locals from Quito, the capital of Ecuador, mentioned that this city, Cuenca, reminds them a little bit of Medellin, Colombia. So it's a very prevalent red all across the city. And so you could definitely say it's related to that, but also it could also be related to Bogota. So Bogota also has a lot of buildings made from a red type of construction material. And as far as walking around the city, I would definitely say there's less anxiety, especially as a foreigner, but I'm sure as a local as well. But as always, anywhere you are, be vigilant. Always be mindful of your surroundings. Make sure your phone is always clearly tucked away in your hand, close to you, because things can happen anywhere. I was almost robbed in Vancouver and I was robbed in Colombia. So things can literally happen anywhere at any particular time. So be mindful of your belongings, be mindful where you are, and check your surroundings at all given times, especially when you're traveling, especially if you're traveling by yourself, and especially if you're a female. So be mindful of that. Welcome to the Seminario San Luis. It's a very beautiful colonial-esque old Spanish-style courtyard, which acts as a restaurant right beside the Immaculate Church of Our Conception. On the other side of the cathedral, there were two boys handcrafting bracelets with names on them for just $2. So I had to buy one for every single family member. Welcome to the Plaza of Flowers. Located just seconds away from the main cathedral is the Plaza de las Flores, known for selling colorful flowers and plants. Located in front of the Carmen Church, the plaza dates back to the 1900s when Cuenca began developing its flower industry, and nowadays it's a popular spot for weddings, ceremonies, and other special events. And now, welcome to the Plaza de San Francisco. Here we have a symbol of Cuenca, the Church of San Francisco, the pigeons of San Francisco, Los Niños de San Francisco, the clothes of San Francisco, and Leo, who is in Plaza de San Francisco. Welcome to the 10th of August market. And I'm hungry, so let's go find some food. After walking around about 10 minutes looking at other people's food and the dishes offered by each little restaurant, I found what I was looking for. Something absolutely delicious and vegan at the same time. Afterwards, it was time to burn out those calories and head south of Cuenca for a walk outside of the historic district, down and across the Rio Tomebamba. All right, so it's starting to rain here in Cuenca. It is 3:30 p.m., getting cloudy, rainy. I'm going to call it a day. This is day 2, then go from there. Tomorrow will be the day of museums. The following day, it was time to visit the Pumapongo Museum. This museum is home to a vast collection of artifacts from the Inca, Cañari, and other pre-Spanish conquest cultures. Here you can learn about the completely unique cultural universe that existed outside of the ancient European civilizations for thousands of years. It is a reality that is normally not taught in the Western educated world and is absolutely fascinating to learn about. I highly recommend checking out the Shrunken Heads exhibit, as well as the amazing view of the city from the Pumapongo ruins.
Finally, it was time to grab a taxi up to the viewpoint of Turi, which comes from the indigenous Quechua word for gold.
So today are the last couple things on my list to see here in Cuenca. One of them is the Mirador de Turi, the viewpoint of Turi. And up here is actually a cave of Saint Belen. So let's go ahead and climb up even further to get the best viewpoint of the city. So we're climbing. There's the entrance to the cave, and we'll keep going up all the way to the top.
This spot featured a temple and was absolutely sacred for all of the indigenous populations that lived here many centuries ago.
All right, this concludes my adventure here in Cuenca, in Ecuador. For the most part, my opinion has been biased by the opinions of other Ecuadorians that it's safe and it's relatively clean. That much I enjoyed. For example, in Quito and Guayaquil, there is this low-level anxiety at all points because anything can happen. Like, you have to be very vigilant in those cities. The downside is that it's a fairly small city, so I wouldn't say that there's much to do past a certain hour at nighttime. It's not a city that's always awake. And at least the bonus of that is that the city isn't loud. So during the daytimes, it can be loud in the city center because there's lots of traffic going through the small streets. As the nighttime progresses, then pretty much the whole city just shuts down. Also, there's no Ubers here, so if you do arrive, make sure to just use the yellow taxis or try to download the local taxi app here, which is called the Azu Taxi. So it's a local taxi app here in Cuenca. I enjoyed the city, at least for a tourism perspective. It's small, it's quaint, it's safe, not much to do beyond a certain point, but for the most part, it's a sleepy type of city.
The following day, I hopped on a bus and continued on to one of the most famous and popular towns in Ecuador, the town of Baños, nestled deep within the mountains of Ecuador. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Leonidas here, and salud.